What's up, everybody? Welcome to this week's edition of the On Purpose podcast, where it's our privilege to show up with you each and every week to hopefully inspire you a little bit, get you thinking a little bit differently, maybe even just giving yourself permission to become who you want to be, right? Just to make a little changes here and there. So thank you for being here. It's an honor to show up and to share these stories of people that I get to meet. I'm super excited. Selfishly, I love getting to have new conversations and learn about new people from their stories, their past, how they got where they're at, and what they're doing to give back. And this week's guest, I'm really excited. He's got a lot of cool content out there that it was fun to research him and to prepare for this. He is an aspiring guest, a renowned leadership coach, the founder and president of Edge Leadership Academy. He's a former Division I coach with a decade of experience, impacting over 100 NCAA teams, numerous businesses, helping them to build strong cultures and develop effective leaders. He holds a master's degree in sports psychology and is currently completing his PhD in developmental psychology. He's the author of an acclaimed book, The Pyramid, and a sought-after speaker on leadership and team dynamics. So this is going to be a fun one to get into. It's going to have some good energy. I hope you enjoy it. And if you get anything from this episode, please do us a favor. Like, subscribe, share on whatever platforms you're consuming of Spotify, Apple Podcast, YouTube for sure. And if you're wanting to give back a little more, join us on Patreon, where we have memberships from $2 to $10, and that money goes right back to the podcast, helping us continue to expand our reach, develop our technologies, and bring more purposeful content to the people around the world. So help us out, right? Pay us back a little bit and allow us to continue to reach more people. And we want to thank you. So I hope this week you enjoy our conversation with the one and only David Kitchen, also known as Coach Kitch. Welcome to the show. My man, Coach Kitch. Welcome to the On Purpose podcast. How are you doing today?
Man, we talked a little bit off camera, brother. I'm excited, man. It's such a fun season of life. It's getting to be football season. Obviously, I'm an ex-football coach, ex-football guy. So, man, life can't be any better, brother.
I love it. I love it. And man, when I hear somebody called coach, right? Like that just, there's no greater term to me than somebody coming up and be like, coach, right? Because that means they trust you, right? That
Yeah, oh
means
yeah.
you've earned a spot in their life where they're like, Coach Kitch, what you say next carries weight, right? You're invested in people. And when I saw you come across some of the social and stuff, I was like, oh, I got to get this guy on the show. Like, we got to sit down and talk some coaching and making people better in this world.
Man, there's no doubt. And it's something I learned early in my coaching career, man. My first mentor, he pulled me aside and he said, the best coaches in the world, they understand that you got to use the word as a verb before you get to use it as a noun. And that was something that always stuck with me, man. The word coach to me is so important because I come from a single parent household. So my coaches were like my dad. My coaches were the people that saved me from going down the wrong path in some areas of my life and kept me on the right track, showed me what I could be, and believed in me even when I didn't believe in myself. And so, yeah, I think the word coach is the most important title that I have, professionally in my life, right? And obviously, it to me, it's up there with things like brother and son, and friend, right? I think the term coach is a really important word, and it's something I try really, really hard to live up to.
I love it. I love it. And this is going to go good places. I could feel it already, my friend. But before I get you into all that stuff, right? Because I want to know about this first coach that really made a difference. But before I get there, I got to warm you up, stud. Like we just don't walk in and go to the heavy lifting. You ready for your warm up, Coach Kitch?
Let's get it, brother.
All right, here we go. Sun rises or sun sets?
Oh man, sunsets,
Why?
sunsets, man, peaceful,
Ooh.
peaceful.
All right. All right. You pull up your phone right now. What's the song on repeat?
Oh man, right now, probably I had some help. Post
Oh,
Malone,
so
yeah,
good, dude.
yeah,
Morgan Wallen Posty.
yeah. Morgan Wallen and Posty, yep.
Dude, I sent that to one of my buddies. I was like, this just reminds me of you creating chaos and be like, dude, I had some help.
I had some help, brother. That's exactly it.
That's a good one. All right, favorite book.
Meditations by Marcus Aurelius.
Ooh. All right, what are you getting from that one?
Everything. Perspective, brother. Perspective. That's the number one thing that you get out of that book. Um, it's a reminder to both take things extremely seriously, but also understand that it ain't that deep, right? And so
Mm,
it's this paradox, man, that we all got to
yeah.
walk the line on, right?
How do we do that? What's your thoughts? How do we take things seriously, but not too seriously?
So to me, it's a balance of gratitude
Mm,
and perspective, right? So what I say that what I mean is like we all talk about gratitude. It's such a hot topic
yeah.
in today's society, right? Like we all got gratitude journals and this, that, and the other. And I'm a show me, don't tell me kind of guy, right? So to me, if you're truly grateful, then you maximize the opportunities that you've been given. Like show me your
Mm,
gratitude in action. Show me you're grateful for the sacrifices your parents made. Show me you're grateful for the opportunities that you've been given. Show me you're grateful for the people in your life, right? Through your actions. So
love
when
it.
I say taking things seriously, that's the piece that I mean, right? Be serious about being grateful. Be serious about living a life that's worth living. But then on the not taking yourself so seriously side, like it sounds morbid, man, but in 3 generations, 2 generations, really, nobody's even gonna know your name,
Mm,
right? So it's not that deep. Like we're all figuring it out, man. And I have the opportunity now. I had it as a coach to be around professional athletes and be around the highest performers in their sports in the world. And now in the business world, I'm doing the same thing with some of the highest performers in business. And it's like you get around these people and you realize we're all in our process. Like
yeah.
we're all figuring it out, man. It ain't
Yeah.
that deep. Like just
Right.
be a human and show up as a person.
Yeah, and I think you're onto something there. Right? I think some of the best performers are the ones that can balance that because they're not bowing down to pressure, right?
Right. Yeah.
They're not making the moment so big that it's life or death. Because very few things we do are life or death, but so many of us live like every decision is life or death.
Yeah, and you operate from a place of fear then.
Hmm.
And when you're operating from a place of fear, it takes away your ability to be present. It takes away your
Mm,
ability. Like I get nervous when I get on stage, right? I still do. I've been doing it for
yeah,
years. I still get nervous when I get up there. When they hand me the mic, when they read me my, read my bio and send me out there, I'm like, man, this is big, right? But then when I get out there, I just remind myself, like, dude, this is awesome. Like I
yeah,
get to be here. I get to be where my feet are. But if I put the pressure on myself that this is life or death, then all of a sudden I lose all the joy of that experience. Right. And
yeah.
so for me, and to take that a step further, even what do I then use to calm the nerves the next time? The
Mm,
experience that I had and how much fun I had doing it last time. Right.
yeah,
And if I keep robbing myself of that experience and I just keep compounding the fear, and that's in any area of life, man. You
for
got you
sure.
got to just be there.
Yeah, that's great. All right, you get to have dinner with one person. They could have already passed on or still be with us. Who would you have dinner with, and what would you ask them?
Uh Muhammad Ali.
Ooh, nice one.
Muhammad Ali will be the person, and the question that I would ask him is where did the belief come from? Because he believed he was the greatest before anybody else did. Where did that come from?
Yeah. What do you think he'd say?
If he's anything like me, which I don't know, I have no idea if he is,
Yeah.
obviously, but if he's anything like me, it comes from the work ethic. Like it comes from like the confidence in your work ethic of just I'm not special. I just know I'm gonna work, right? And so I think that's what he would probably say. And I
Oh,
honestly I think part of him would admit that maybe he didn't believe it all the time.
for sure. I think that'd be a huge one, right? That he was really talking himself into believing. It was a process,
Hmm.
just like you said earlier. He was going through his
Hmm.
process. Yeah, that's it. All these a fascinating character to me because he stood up for himself.
Right.
And things that weren't popular at the time, but later on you come back and go, wow, we really respect that, right? Like he was right about his beliefs here.
Right. And he's an interesting guy because he had this balance of typically people fall into two different camps. They either make ego decisions or legacy
Mm,
decisions,
yeah.
right? And on the surface, you would be like, oh, he made ego decisions, right? Like he did these things. But if you really look at it, they were legacy
For
decisions. And so
sure.
he's this interesting kind of paradox that falls into both camps, where he was this obviously charismatic and confident man that also carried himself and made decisions in a way that he understood how his decisions affected others. And
No.
so to me, that's a really interesting, anybody that walks that line really well is interesting to me.
Yeah, I think it kind of ties back into what you were saying. Like because he was present, right? Like
Mhm.
those reporters that were in front of him, that was the most important eyes he had at the time. He wasn't thinking about the next show, the next fight, the next like and that's something you hear a lot about Ali is he made people feel important. Like that relationship he
Mhm.
developed with Cosell, right?
Yep.
Like, and now while you're right, it looks ego, right? He's very arrogant, he's cocky. Then you look back, you're like, man, he's actually very introspective.
Mhm.
He's very thoughtful. He has beliefs and morals that he's saying, like, wait a second, I'm not going to war, guys. Like, I don't believe in war. You gotta respect that.
100%, 100%. And I think when you look at people who have a very clear understanding of their vision, their mission, and their values in life, it's hard not to respect them. It's
Mm-hmm.
hard. Even people that maybe you don't agree with those vision, that vision or those mission or even those values, but you got to respect it, because it's like if you're willing to draw a line in the sand and say this is what I stand for and I'm not going to negotiate on this, I think to me that's the definition of living in the arena.
Mm, for sure. All right, you get we got one more warm up here, Coach Kitch. A
Mhm.
memorable quote or saying that stuck with you.
Man, I'm a big quote guy, so I'm kind of going through the Rolodex now. I got a million of them that I'm love. I got a million of them that I love,
Dude,
man.
we're
But
on we're on the same
uh,
page.
man, I think it's if I had to choose one that really made a difference to me, um, man, there's so many. This is such a tough question, brother. This is such a. I have them all over my arms. I'm
No, I was just
tattooed
looking at
everywhere.
that.
One of my favorite ones is the path to paradise begins in hell. And I think that's a really important message, right? That the things in life and the best things in life, you got to go through the hard stuff. You have to. Like it is so important, and it lays the foundation for who you can become. And it goes to another quote that I love, which is success needs trauma, right? Like you got
Mm.
to go through a little bit of hard to get to the good.
Yeah, and that's something we want to skip so much in today's world, right? We want to skip the pain. We want to skip the hard part. We want to get right to the Instagram picture that shows we've accomplished everything.
Yeah.
And the truth is, Coach Kitch, if I could skip all the work and get there, I wouldn't appreciate it.
No, no, and there's Alex Hormozy talked about this, and he had a great point. He said if you wanted to build a successful and happy person, what are all the traits that you would give them, right? You would give them perspective, you would give them grit, you would give them discipline, you would give them all. And then he said, how do you forge any of those things? By going through the hard stuff.
Yeah,
It's the only way to build it.
yeah.
There's no shortcut. You can't buy it.
No. Why do we want to skip it so much? Why are we so conditioned to be like, almost and maybe here's something I see a lot is we want to use the hard stuff as an excuse why we're not where we're supposed to be instead of a reason that we're going to get there and why our story is going to carry weight.
Well, and that's exactly it, man. It's a built-in excuse, right?
Hmm.
And when you look at the hard things in life, right? And I give people this advice all the time. Before you quit anything, before you stop pursuing something or you choose not to, I want you to ask yourself and be honest. Like drop the facade, drop the Instagram filter, get real with yourself for a second and just say, am I unable to do this or achieve this or go after this? Or am I unwilling? Because those are two very different things.
Yeah,
And there's a lot of people in this world that are saying that they're unable when really they're just unwilling.
yeah. No, 100%. Coach, you're warmed up, boy. I could feel it. I feel
Yeah,
you
oh
warmed
come on,
up.
bro. Hey, 5 a.m. or 5 p.m. I'm the same dude. I bring this energy. It doesn't matter where we're at, man. This is me all the time, man.
I love it. Hey, here's where I want to start, right? Because coaching is clearly something you're doing. You're creating great results and you're making positive impact in people's lives, which is exactly what we're after. But it started somewhere. And I want to know, Coach Kitch, talk to me about the time you realize, wait a second, this coach I had in my life, that man or woman made a difference, and why? When did you recognize that, and who were they, and what was it about them that inspired you to follow suit?
Too late. I recognized it too late. That's the thing. I didn't recognize it in the moment, right? So there was two main coaches that stand out to me. The first one was a guy named Gary Campbell. Gary was my high school coach, my high school football coach, and he was actually the first guest when I launched my podcast. And that was my way of thanking him for everything he did for me.
Yeah.
But Gary and Coach Campbell, he brought this side out of me and held me to this standard that I had never been held to in my life because he believed that I could do it. And there was this honesty to him, right? That he would just be straight with you. I mean, it was always the same. Like it was always the truth. You knew what you were getting with him. And I remember one of the most impactful conversations him and I ever had was my senior year in high school. I was a 3-year starter on the varsity program, and so I was a standout player. I had scholarship opportunities and things like that. And so to me, it was a no brainer that I was going to be a captain. Like I was like, it's a gimme, right?
Ooh.
And so we had the vote, and I come from a town, man. You got to frame this up. I come from a town that, like, if you ever seen Friday Night Lights, it's like if you drop that in Northeast PA, like literally when
Yeah.
you drive into town, there's a sign that says God Family Football. And
Yeah.
so, like, that's who we are. That's what we do. So being a captain in this program is a big deal. And so I'm like, all right, like I'm gonna be a captain. So the vote happens, and I get called down to the coach's office, and I'm like, oh, this is it. Like, here we go. I'm about to get my C. Like, this is gonna be a big deal. And I walk in, and he says to me, Kitch, before we start, I want to ask you something. I said, what's up, coach? And he said, did you vote for yourself?
Ooh.
And I said, no. And he said, okay. He said, I've never done this before in my career. He said, but I'm going to give you an opportunity right now. Do you want to change your vote? I'm not going to tell you how the vote played out, but do you want to change your vote? And I said, no. I said, I feel comfortable. I'm confident. In my mind, I'm like, I don't need to change. I don't need my vote. I got everybody else's vote, right?
Yeah.
And he said, okay. He said, you're not a captain. And I was shocked.
Yeah.
And I was, really upset about it, man. And I was like, man, like what? And he's like, but I need you to understand something. He said, one, you missed it by one vote. And that vote was my own vote because I didn't vote for myself.
Yes.
And he said, but I want you to understand this does not define whether you are a leader or not.
Mm.
What you do over the next 6 to 7 months will define whether you're a leader or not. This moment does not define you.
Yeah.
He said, do you understand me? I said, yes, sir. He said, can you commit yourself to setting the standard in this program? I said, yes, sir. And for the next 7 months, man, I was in the weight room twice a day. I was there when the freshmen worked out. I was there when the seventh and eighth graders and the young kids were there. I did everything I could to help lead that program. And that was one of the most impactful conversations that I ever had in my life. And so, Coach Campbell, man, he was a big part of who I am today, and the competitiveness in him and the drive to win was second to none. And then the second guy was Coach Steve Briggs, man. So Coach Briggs, I got to give him his flowers because he gave me an opportunity. So I got hurt my senior year of high school, lost the scholarship opportunities, and he had seen me play against his son actually, and so he came to me and he said, "Hey, man, I know you lost these scholarship opportunities. We'd love to have you. We didn't recruit you because we didn't think we had a chance at even getting you,
Yeah.
and but we want you here if you want to be here." And so I went, and dude, I was a complete nightmare off the field, man. I did all the wrong things, made all the wrong decisions. And this guy just refused to give up on me. Refused. And
Really.
that it was so powerful, man. And yeah, he told me at one point, he said, Kitch, at some point in your life, man, you got to learn to be the guy instead of being that guy. And
Ooh.
that was really important. So years later, I had the opportunity to actually go back and coach at my alma mater.
Yeah.
And he had retired since then. We had a new head coach there, and I asked him, I said, "Hey, coach, I'm back in town. Let's grab lunch." And the first question I asked him was, "Dude, why didn't you kick me off the team? Why didn't you
Yeah.
just get rid of me? You didn't need me. I had a busted knee. I was hurt more than I was healthy. I was a nightmare off the field. Like all these things, like all signs would say." Cut your losses and get rid of this dude.
Mm.
And he said, Kitch, you needed the game more than the game needed you. And I was like, man, so those are two people, man, that for me, they lived the word coach.
Yeah.
They lived it. Before we called them coach, they were living it. And that impacted a big part of how I coached and how I went on to lead people and lead organizations.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? When somebody refuses to allow you to give up on yourself.
Mm-hmm. It's a powerful thing, man, because I'm a firm believer that there's so many people in this world that are one hype man away from greatness. Like they're one
Mm,
person. They're one person being like, I got you and I believe in you and I'm not gonna let you quit. And those people in my life sent me on this trajectory to go through hard things and learn to believe in myself and learn to go through the hard times, and be there, right? And then be willing to sit in that pain and that discomfort and be excited about the growth that was going to come from it. So yeah, man, I think it's a really powerful thing to be able to look at somebody and say, hey, you can do this. And I joke with my friends, and my friends will tell you, man, the side effects of hanging out with me is that you think you can do anything because I
yeah,
got you. Like, let's go to war. Let's go see,
let's
let's
do
go
it.
see what you're capable of.
Well, what's the opposite, right? You want to hang out with somebody that tells you what you can't do because they don't do shit?
Dude,
You
but
want
most people
it,
do.
is that who you want in your circle? A bunch of people to sit around and talk about I woulda, I coulda, I shoulda, but I'm not gonna. No, hell no. Like
But what percentage of the world that's exactly the conversations they're having?
it is, right? Which is why what we do is more important, right? To
Hmm.
get people to go, wait
Hmm.
a second, let me take a little look at who's in my circle here.
Yep.
We're all doing the
Yep.
same shit we've been doing for years. Maybe I need to hook up with Coach Kitch. Maybe I need to listen to this podcast and see if I can't bring somebody new into this circle. And you're right. People will attract, you will attract that
Hmm.
because you believe it and you do it,
Right.
right? Jay?
100%. 100%. And you got to really care about somebody to tell them the truth. Like you got to really
Mm.
so people will say, "Oh, like they don't hold me accountable because they're my friends and they don't want to hurt my feelings." What?
Are they your
What?
friends?
Yeah, dude, love and discipline go hand in hand.
Right.
If you love somebody, you discipline them, you hold them accountable. And so I've made it a goal of mine and an absolute non-negotiable in my friend circle. We are honest with each other 100% of the time, man. And we hold each other accountable. You gain 20 pounds and you walk in the room with my friends, they're gonna let you know.
Yeah.
They're gonna let you know. If we hear from your significant other, your wife or whatever, that you're being a jerk at home, we're gonna let you know.
Yeah.
Like that stuff's not acceptable. And that helps us on the climb, right? Because we all raise each other up.
But it starts with you,
Yeah, absolutely. You got to lead
right?
yourself first.
For sure. And I think that's right. You hitting on something you said earlier. Gratitude's a big buzzword, right? Selflessness is a big buzzword. But I always argue that first to be selfless, I gotta be selfish.
100%.
I gotta take care of me to be my best me to now serve you, coach.
Yep.
Right? If
Yep.
I'm neglecting my nutrition, I'm neglecting my fitness, I'm not reading, I'm not learning. Well, I have limited value to you now. I'm not being my
Yep.
best self to you.
Every day of the week. Every day of the week. It's why I have in my life non-negotiables.
Mm,
I have a list of things that are selfish things that are mine, that are for me. But if but by doing them, I show up better for other people.
yes. How
Right.
do you get
So
those? Share that with me because I think sometimes in our community, we get lost, right? We're like, man, I got all these roles. I'm mom, I'm dad, I'm husband, I'm wife, I'm brother, I'm sister. Where do I fit in just being my best me? So, how did you come up with that? How do you recommend people fit that into the world?
yeah, man, I honestly what I started to do is realize that life doesn't happen in a vacuum. And I started to realize that all the systems of my life were connected, right? And so I looked at the major areas of my life, right? My mindset, my family, my fitness, my business, all those main areas. And I started to score them because if you can't measure it, you can't manage it. So I
Mm,
literally developed an audit system that I still do, and I give it away for free every year in January to people that want to change their lives every year
nice.
for free. But it's a system that I built to where I'm putting a number to these things. And then that allows me to set goals for the year, right? But the non negotiable piece is what is something that I can do every single day that will move the needle in each of those areas that will allow me to show up better for the people around me. So for me, the
Yep.
first thing is when I wake up in the morning, I got to meditate. I got to clear my mind. I got to put on my emotional armor and be ready for the day and be less reactive and be able to do that, right? So I need to
Mm.
meditate. That's number one. Number two is I need to read. So I need to bring in some new information, whatever that may be. I got to read something for the day, for the morning to get my mind going a little bit, so that I can share it with somebody else. I like to journal because I like to get my thoughts out. That's my third non-negotiable, is that I journal every day as much as I can. And I just try and there's not always a structure to it. There's not always a prompt. I just try and get my thoughts out. Right. And then the next thing that I like to do is move my body. So I may train. If I'm training in the morning, then I'll go get my lift in. If I'm training in the afternoon, I'm still going to do something in the morning. So it could be 5 minutes of light stretching,
Hmm.
7 minutes of light stretching. Maybe I'll take the dog for a longer walk. Like I just want to do something to kind of move a little bit.
Yeah.
And then the last thing that I always do, before I start my day, that's a non-negotiable for me, is I connect with somebody that I care about. So
Cool.
I will send either a text message, a quick video, a TikTok, an Instagram, something that I saved the day before that made me think of that person. And not like something funny necessarily, but something like real, you know?
Yeah.
And then the other thing that I'll do is maybe I'll send them $2. If it's somebody I haven't talked to for a while, I'll cash app them or Venmo them $2. Hey, grab a coffee on me, brother. Haven't talked to you in a while. Hope all is well.
Mm.
Like just something to connect me with the people that I care about in my life and ground me. So those are my non-negotiables. And then the other one that doesn't fall into that morning one is my therapy time. I go to therapy every single week, and that is non-negotiable. It doesn't get moved, it doesn't get adjusted. It is something that I have to do for me that allows me to show up for the people in my life.
Interesting. How did you decide that one?
I slipped into so in 2021, I had launched my business, launched my first business. We were successful
Yeah.
and we started to really take off. And I thought I was the king of entrepreneurship. So I
Mm.
started opening all these other businesses. And some of them were doing well, some of them were doing poorly. But what I realized was it was taking all the focus away from my core business, right? And ultimately, what happened, man, was I just hit a wall. I hit an absolute wall and I started to have panic attacks and I started to freak out all the time and I slipped into a depression.
Yeah.
And I go to the doctor and they're telling me it's depression. I'm like, dude, I have a master's degree in sports psych. I'm working on my PhD in psychology. Like, I don't have mental health issues. What are you
Sure.
talking about? You
Yeah.
know, and really what it was, man, is I realized through a conversation that my relationship with achievement and my relationship with success was a way for me to cover the fact that I had never felt successful myself. It was a way for me to cover
Ah,
depression that had been in my life my whole life. But I tried to out achieve it. Right.
right.
And then when some of these businesses started to fail, I had to face
Mm.
that, oh, I can't just out achieve all the time. And so that led me to eventually start going to therapy and working through a lot of things in my life, man, that had one hand on the steering wheel my whole life and I didn't even know.
Yeah. Good for you, man. And you're seeing the results. You're liking the
100%.
process.
Oh, 100%, dude. It changed my life. Changed my
Yeah.
life. If I could go back, I would have done this at 16.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so interesting. I love having non-negotiables because I think so many times we go on autopilot through life. And
Hmm.
then next year, then like you said something about the new year, right? Sending out your tips in the new year, right? We go on autopilot through 2024 and then we get to December, like, damn, we're in the same spot we were in 2023, right? Because we don't have a
Yep.
roadmap. We don't know where we're
Yep.
going. We're not challenging ourselves to grow. Like you said, we're not willing to go. Maybe I need to bring in an outside influence. I need therapy here. Do I need a new circle of friends here? Do I need new information there? And it's crazy to me to live life not knowing where the hell you're trying to get to.
It's insanity. It's insanity. And then people wonder why they're unfulfilled. They wonder why they're unhappy, right?
Yeah.
And it's being willing to say, okay, this is my vision. Let me at least set a course. Let me at least say
Mm,
this is what I want at the end of my life. This is the vision that I see for myself. Then from there, you can start to build backwards and
mm.
you say, okay, I know what my vision is, right? So I'll walk through my personal example so you can get a feel for what
Yeah.
I'm saying. So my vision in my life is to leave a legacy for my family to be proud of. That's my vision. That's what I'm chasing at the end of it all. So I know what that is. Okay, now let's get a little bit more concrete with that, right? Because that's a pretty abstract thing. So then I say, okay, what does my daily mission have to look like? What is the thing that I have to do every single day that if I do it day after day after day, it becomes statistically unlikely that I will fail. Like,
Yeah.
what is the thing that if I just do this over and over and over, eventually I'm going to get this,
Right.
right? So to me, that answer was, well, if I inspire greatness and I bring the best version out of every person that I come in contact with, then I'm eventually going to leave a legacy through the people that I impact.
Yeah.
Right. So for me, that now becomes my daily mission. So every day I have my non negotiables that go along with it, but I know what my mission is for the day. I got to bring the best out in the people around me. So that dictates how I show up.
Yeah.
Right. What we're really doing is we're limiting choices.
Yeah.
I now can't do these other things because I have to bring out the best in other people. I can't come in and be non-energetic. I can't come in and be a complainer and a blamer and a defender because I have to bring out the best in other people. How can I do that if I'm complaining and
Yeah.
blaming and defending?
I love it.
Right? And
Yeah.
then you get a set of values that dictate how you show up even further. So for me, number one, I'm honest. I tell people the truth no matter what. So that comes with responsibility, right? I tell my friends, I tell people all the time, even if I'm dating a girl, hey, don't ask me if those jeans make you look fat if you don't want the truth,
Yeah.
right? Like I'm not that dude. I'm not that guy. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like I'm here because I
Yeah.
don't want you to lie to me,
Right.
right? If I'm getting chunky, I want you to poke me and be like, dude, get your
Yeah.
butt in the gym, like
Yeah.
figure it
Yeah.
out, you know. So I'm
Yeah.
honest, number one. Number two, I'm caring. I genuinely care about people. I
Yeah.
genuinely want to see other people win, and that has burned me, but it's something that I'm willing to die with. And then I'm driven and I'm committed to growth. So those are my values. So you got your vision, mission, and values. It dictates how you show up in the world. It
Yeah.
removes all the choices, man.
Yeah. Yeah. So I love what you said there. Even though you got burnt, you're committed to growth and helping other people achieve.
Yeah,
And
100%.
and here's the deal, man. Like I could see you come across social. We're kind of in the same space, right? We're trying to make
Mhm.
people better. We're coaching people. And I can say, oh, I don't want to share my platform with Coach Kitch. He's going to take people from me. Or I can say, wait, let me get this guy here and let's learn from him. And maybe the people in my circle need you. Maybe your people in your circle want to hear this, right?
Truth.
Because if I'm truly wanting to make people better, I'm truly wanting to leave a legacy, make the world better, then I got to know there's enough success for both of us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's changing your relationship with competition, right? And it's realizing that, like to your point, the abundance mindset.
Mhm.
Like I've gotten burned on a small scale, but if you play it out over a long enough time horizon, like it's always been worth the investment to invest in other people and to collaborate and to spend time helping other people. Like I truly, truly enjoy that. Doesn't mean I'm not competitive, right?
Right?
That's not what I'm saying. Like I still want to win, you know. And if we're direct, direct head to head, we're gonna compete in this thing. Like I'm gonna try and beat you 100 to nothing,
Yep.
right? I'm not shy about that.
And what's that
But
do
at
for me?
Right. Well, for you, it teaches you lessons, and what it does for me is it then opens the door for us to be able to have a conversation.
Yeah.
Like I'll tell you how I beat you. I'm not
Yeah.
the kind of guy that's like, oh, I'm going to keep the secret sauce.
Right.
Like I'm not that
Yeah.
dude. And then not only that, I'll because you competed and you were willing to step in the arena with me, I'll introduce you to every single person
Yeah.
I know, and I'll help you win on every level possible.
But if I
Like
accept that challenge, right, then it means like, oh, I'm gonna up my game because I'm not getting beat 100 nothing. You crazy?
right,
I didn't step
right,
into the arena to lose. Now I know competing, somebody's gonna win, somebody's gonna lose, but I'm gonna prepare. I'm gonna
yep,
sharpen my skills, right? So now through friendly competition and humble competition of
that's the
saying
key.
like I'm gonna compete with you, Coach Kitch, but at the end of the day, we're gonna shake hands, go have a drink, maybe have a meal, and be like, dude, that was a fun fight. That was a
Yeah,
good time.
yeah, let's watch the film together.
Yeah,
Let's talk about it, man. Like that's how and that's the change in competition, right? And I struggled with that early in my business career, and I think some people
Mhm.
do.
Sure.
That you start to like villainize other people because you're like to your point about us doing a podcast together. Like it's like, oh, I can't have this guy on my podcast because we kind of do the same thing,
Yeah,
so he might steal business or whatever. And then you once you get past that emotional immaturity, you get more secure in yourself and you realize that that's an ego speaking, that's your ego decisions speaking rather than legacy, right? My
yeah,
legacy is to leave an impact for other people, right? Do I care if I'm the guy that coaches that person or if that guy comes to me and said, hey, you know what, man? Jerrod changed my life and I heard him because you guys did a show together.
right.
Dude,
That's a
good.
win. That's a
That's
win.
a win.
Yeah.
That's a win, man. If I can expose people to the right influences, then I'm winning.
Yeah. And that's the thing. And whether it's business, your personal relationships, life in general, competition's okay, right? I love to compete. It's what fuels
Mm-hmm.
me, right? It's why I get up in the morning. I have my non-negotiables and I do things to make sure that my version of me today was better than yesterday. I'm competing with myself. I'm going to compete in the spaces I get to be in because I do want to
Mm-hmm.
win. I want to
Right.
create success, but I'm also going to bring you with me if you're willing to do the work.
Exactly.
Right? If
Exactly.
you and I are on the same page and you're getting up early and you're putting in work, then let's go together. It's way more fun to have a buddy at the top of the hill than it is to get up there by yourself and go, well, this doesn't feel good.
Every day, man. And it's something to go back to what we were talking about earlier, right? The people you surround yourself
Mhm.
with. Like my group of friends, we have what we call legacy meetings, right? So every quarter we get together in a hotel and we have dinner together, we talk, whatever, and then everybody goes through different topics and we all talk, we all teach each other things. So like I'll talk about business and what's going on in my business, and they'll poke holes and ask me questions. And hey, why are you doing it this way? And then we'll talk about marriage and being a father and being a husband, and we'll talk about being in the community. We'll talk about faith. We'll talk about fitness. Like each person will talk, but not only that, we all have scorecards that we lay our cards on the table
Oh,
and
wow.
we do it in front of each other and we have that conversation because we all want to see each other win. So just since our last our we'll say the beginning of 24, since 24, we have seen such a transformation in some of the guys that are in this group of friends that get together. Like we got guys that are starting businesses that were never would have started a business before,
Yeah.
that now have businesses on the side that are now creating the life they want for their family. We got guys that are going to therapy, that are going to marriage counseling and trying to figure some things out and making better decisions. We got guys that are involved in their communities. I mean, to me, those conversations wouldn't happen if we weren't surrounded by the right people. We weren't competing in the sense that we put our scorecards on the table
Yeah.
and we say, hey, how do we make each other better? I leave those meetings, man. They're my best friends in the world. And I leave those meetings with pages and pages of notes. And that's powerful to me.
I love it, man. And one of the things I love about that, coach, is guys taking care of guys.
Yep.
Right? I think that's an area we can improve so much in today's society as being a guy that can be well rounded, right? That
Yeah.
means I don't have to put on the facade. Everything is good all the time, every day. Nothing gets to me, right? There's a time and a place, like you said earlier, throw on your armor and go to battle. Right? Absolutely, there's a
Mm-hmm.
place for that. But then I think we owe it to society. We owe it to ourselves. We owe it to our families to also have a place where we take that off, we hang it in the closet, and we have all the other emotions.
Yes. Oh, yes. Absolutely, man. To me, I so somebody literally before we hopped on this podcast, somebody sent me a message on Instagram and said, "Hey, this made me think of you."
Mm.
And it was one of my female friends actually, and it had be a paradox, be jacked, be a reader, right? Be a competitor, be a philosopher, be an athlete, be an academic. Like do all the things, experience life as a whole,
Yep.
right? And to me, man, as a man, that is the true definition of a man is are you capable of, like you said, putting your armor on and going to battle and doing the things you need to do, but then are you also capable of being kind and being gentle and being generous and giving resources, right, and doing those things. Like to me, that's what it's about, and having conversations and not the false bravado, right? Like having
Mm.
a conversation. Like I
Yeah.
love, man, my friends, we say I love you. That's a big thing for us.
Why wouldn't you?
When my friends, because so many men don't.
For sure.
So many men don't. When we hang up the phone, man, it's hey, I love you, brother.
Love
Talk
it.
soon.
Yep.
Every single time because that means something, right? And I think you grow in your ability to you grow in your capacity to do other things when you
Mm.
become more vulnerable and when you open yourself up and say, hey, I'm willing to show up scars and all. I'm willing to have these conversations with other men and learn from them. Now my capabilities in other areas are expanding, right? So it's counterintuitive, really.
Yeah, I mean it is, but it isn't, right? Because I think about this, Coach Kitch. If I only go to say 75% my feelings,
Right.
and there's 25% I'm always going to hide from everybody. Well, that's a habit.
Hmm.
So now what else do I only go 75% from and I hide the other 25%? Is it
Oh
the
yeah. Yeah.
truth?
Yep.
Is it how deep I can love somebody? Is it my honesty towards somebody? Right? You know what I mean? We are our habits. And if I get in a circle where it's okay to go, Coach Kitch, I'm struggling today, bro. Like me and my wife are having this, or, I'm raising teenagers and like I'm struggling here. That allows us to really step into who we're supposed to be.
Yes. Yep.
And not only
I agree with
that,
you.
it allows the people around us to go, wait a second, I can step into who I'm supposed to be because none of us are who we're supposed to be if we're only going 75% on anything.
Right. Right. Yeah. And it's something that it's so freeing to not have to remember what mask to wear when you walk in a
Mm,
room, right? When you can just show up. And I wasn't always that way, man, at
no, for
all.
sure.
Was not always that way. It took me a long time, right? But now the freedom that I feel, and this is the power of it, and I think you'll feel the same way, is I want other people to feel this.
Yeah.
Like I want other people to feel like how good it feels to just be yourself. And so what that requires of me is that I have to create an environment where that's okay. I got to create an environment in my friends and my family, my community, my business partners where they feel comfortable showing up as themselves.
Not
Right.
just not just it's okay, but you know what? Let's go a step further, coach. It's expected.
It's expected. Yeah. And it's
I don't
celebrated.
want you to show up every day looking the same because where's your growth? Where's your ups, your downs? I want to see you like, man, I'm having a bad day. Okay, now I know we're getting somewhere. I
Mm-hmm.
want to see you come
Mm-hmm.
in and be the leader this week, be the follower next week.
Right. Show me your range. Show me your
Yes.
range. Show me that you got it all. Right. And I think, for people out there that are listening that are like, man, well, that's a lot, or, maybe I'll get judged by certain people. Listen, people will respect that. The right people.
The
And the
right
people
people.
that the
Yes.
people that don't
Yeah.
are that to me, that shows me everything I need to know. If
Should be
you
in your
if you
circle.
if you weaponize, if I'm vulnerable to you and you weaponize that against me, immediately tells me everything I need to know about you. I'm good. Right?
Amen.
How you respond to successes of your friends or the people around you tells me everything I need to know about you. Right?
Amen.
All of those things. So you have to constantly be looking for that stuff. And allow people to show you who they are because they do
Yep. If you're paying attention.
if you're paying attention. Yep.
Yeah, no, 100%. I agree. And there's, gratitude, vulnerability. That's another big buzzword that goes around. People got to earn that,
Mhm.
right? People earn that. You just don't come in and throw out everything on the table. Like that's an emotional dump. Nobody wants
Right,
that.
right.
On the flip side, like you said, if I come in, I share something with you. The next thing I know, you're telling everybody else about it, and I'm hearing it around the circle. I'm never going to tell you again.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't think I would even look at it that way. I'm more because I don't care, right? I don't like I'm not. I got nothing to hide. Like I tell people, listen, when I get up on stage, man, the skeletons that everybody else hides in their closet, mine are up there giving that talk with me.
Sure.
Mine are up there standing right next to
Yep.
me, arm in arm, right?
Yep.
I'm not afraid of those things, and so to me, that piece of it doesn't scare me, but it shows me when I look at people and I have those
Yep.
interactions, it shows me what the depth of the relationship can be.
Absolutely.
That's what it shows me right off the bat.
Yep.
Is like, okay, this is as far as this relationship's gonna go.
And which layer of your circle they're in, right? You got your five
Correct.
innermost, and you got another five outside. Like they're gonna stay on the outside. Maybe there's still good people out there, but they don't deserve that trust again.
Correct. 100%, man. And that's a tough thing for high performers to understand because we project sometimes onto other people the way
Yeah.
that we think, right? Our perspective. And so I remind people all the time, not everybody is built for the climb. Like there's
Oh,
people that you're going to find get altitude sickness, right? And that altitude sickness is generally a reflection of bad character in one way or another. Their character's not complete enough to go to the heights that you're trying to go to, right? So
oh,
it could come out through stress, it could come out through failure, envy, a million different things, right? But some way, somehow, if there's a crack in your character, the higher you go up that mountain and up that chase, that's going to get revealed. And
mm,
so as a high performer, I'm constantly looking around and looking at my friends and looking at the people around me. And I'm saying, okay, Is everybody good?
Yeah.
Right? Because what's going to happen is eventually, they're going to get altitude sickness, and when they fall, they're going to grab your ankle because that's the human reaction.
Yeah, that ties in perfectly to a question I had for you. In researching this, I came across a video you just recently put out that says the most dangerous thing that can happen to a person is when their talent takes them to a place their character cannot sustain.
That's exactly what we were just talking about, man. If you look at the people that fumble opportunities,
Mm.
it's generally not a reflection of their talent, it's a reflection of their character. The guys, and I had this experience, right? I saw young men go to the NFL. I saw it happen. Went to the NFL. They didn't have the character to stay there. They didn't know how to manage their money. They didn't know how to manage their emotions. They didn't know how to manage their own body. They didn't know how to surround themselves with the right people. Like their character wasn't ready, and their talent gave them that opportunity. And because they didn't do the work on their character, they lost the opportunity.
Yeah,
Right. And the same thing happens in business, man. The same thing happens in relationships. The same
for
thing
sure.
happens across the board. If you're not doing the work on your character and you're a talented human being, you're going to get in opportunities that you're not ready for or not able to maximize because you didn't do the work on the back end. Because the reality is this, man, at the end of the day, fulfilled success, the only currency that the doorman to fulfilled success accepts is character. It's the only thing. It's not
Mm.
talent, it's not luck, it's not anything. I'm thoroughly convinced when you get to that doorway for fulfilled success,
Yeah.
they do a resume check, man, and they look and they say, okay, is his character in place? Did he take care of people along the way? Were his relationships right? This, that, or the other. And what happens is if you don't pass that character check, then you're sitting at the top of the mountain, but you're out in the cold and you're alone. Right. And I think we see that a lot in our society. And maybe we don't see it because they hide it behind closed doors. But there's a lot of people that you on the outside will say, oh, that person's successful. And they're not. They're miserable. And that's a
Mm.
reflection of their character.
How do we how do we change character? How do we coach character?
It shows up in a couple key areas: habits, social interactions and social settings, right? So what do you tolerate from yourself? And then also, your friend group, which we've talked a lot about today. And then it shows up in your self-regulatory behaviors. How do
Mm.
you deal with success? How do you deal with stress? How do you deal with failure? And then it shows up in your mindset as well, right? Are you fixed or are you a growth mindset? So if you want to change your character, you got to work on those areas first, right? And if you really think about it, that's all pretty self-explanatory, because if you look at it, you think about your habits, right? I don't have to know anything about a person. I think you would agree with this. I don't have to know anything about you. If you showed me a list of your habits, your top 5 most beneficial habits and your top 5 most detrimental habits, I could tell you within a pretty certain degree, or a pretty good degree of certainty, how successful that person is and will be,
Mm.
right? Habits are they're the telltale sign,
Yeah.
right? Same thing with their social interactions. I don't need to know anything about a person. You show me how they treat the doorman, show me how they treat the 7-Eleven guy, show me how they treat the Uber driver, and then show me their friend circle. I'll tell you how successful that person is going to be. Emotional regulation, same thing. How do they deal with those things? Like
Yeah.
all of those things, they reveal it and they tell you.
Yeah. And what I love about that, it's all things that we can change if we choose to.
Yes.
We
Yeah.
don't need we don't need an advanced education. We don't need a fancy program. We don't need, right? We can just wake up and go, well, you know what? I'm letting myself down. I'm not being who I'm supposed to be.
Yeah.
Let me
Yeah.
change this.
Yeah. And the power comes when you come to terms with the fact that you are choosing.
Hmm.
You're choosing.
For
Nobody's
sure.
choosing this for you. You're
Right.
choosing it.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. You're choosing or you're not choosing. And by not choosing,
Mhm.
you're choosing.
You're choosing,
Right?
right? Yep, exactly. By punting the ball, you're still choosing.
Yeah.
You're saying I'm not going to take. And here's the scary thing, man. When you punt the ball on your own life, and what I mean by punt is
Ooh.
exactly what you said, not choosing. When you punt, you're telling yourself and everybody around you that you're not that important. You're not worth it.
Mm.
You're not worth it.
Yeah. I want to close up with you, Coach Kitch. We're getting near the end, but
Yeah.
I saw something where you said you gave yourself a note for the new year. And the quote was, "It's time, let it rip." Ah, there we go. That
It's next to
unrehearsed,
my computer.
unrehearsed team. All right.
It's next to my computer.
Tell me why you did that. You were already successful before this year. You were doing good things. Why did you need a note like that?
Because I didn't believe, I didn't truly believe. I outwardly believed, but I didn't, when the
Mhm.
lights were off in the dark, I didn't believe that we could add zeros to the end of what we were doing from a revenue standpoint. I didn't believe that we could be on the stages that we were supposed to be on this year that were being talked about already. Like I
Mhm.
didn't fully feel ready for those opportunities. And so internally, I was self-sabotaging, not outwardly. I wasn't doing big things, I wasn't turning down opportunities or anything, but I was freaking out. And I had a conversation with my therapist, and he said, at what point are you going to step into who you're supposed to be?
Mm.
You've built all the foundations, you've built the systems, you've done all those things. At what time are you going to step into that and be who you're supposed to be? And I had a friend in college, man, and he was dude, he was a man, great guy. Um, he was Nigerian, and he used to always say, "Pick up your crown." Like when things like he was, dude, he's the most supportive guy in the world. Like when things were going wrong, he'd be like, "Hey, pick up your crown, bro," which meant like pick your head up, like
Yeah.
step into who you're supposed to be, right? And so that all came full circle when I had that conversation with my therapist. I thought about him, and I thought about it's time, man. Pick up your crown and let it rip.
Mm.
Like to take this completely full circle to the beginning of the conversation, it ain't that deep, but it is serious.
Yeah.
So let it rip, man. Just pour into it.
And I think that's so powerful, right? Just like you said earlier, sometimes we look at people from the outside, we're like, man, they're successful. They got it all together. They're doing well. But inside, they have the same battles. We're all in process. We're all in
Mhm.
progress. We're all trying to figure shit out. And that's what
Always.
I loved when I read that. I was like, wait a sec. This is a dude that knew he wasn't going 100%. He held something back.
Hmm. And I held it back because I didn't think I was worthy of it.
Mm.
And so to me, that note was a reminder, like empty the tank, dude. Just go.
What do we have to lose?
That's it.
Like
That's it.
you and I both can sit here today and go, hey, at some point we're both dying.
Yep.
What do we
Yep.
have to lose by giving it less than everything? Until
Yep.
then,
That's it. I'm letting it rip, man. I'm letting it rip till they close the casket on me. I'm letting it rip. I'm telling they and listen, they
ah,
better close that thing tight because I might come back for more.
lock it
I'm
up, boy.
telling you, that's
Don't give
it.
me a
Lock it
chance to
up.
pop up.
Brother.
I love it. Coach Kitch, where can our community stay in contact with you, follow along with you, and be part of this journey you're on, my friend?
Yeah, man. I'm on all the socials. I keep it simple at Coach D Kitch on everything. So Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, all of them, every single one at Coach D Kitch. Our website is edgeleadershipacademy.com. And then we have our own podcast as well, the Built Not Born podcast, which you might see a familiar face on there in the upcoming future if you tune into that.
Roger that. I love it, my friend. Coach Kitch, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been a true pleasure and an honor to share your story, my friend.
Thank you, brother, and thank you for what you do.